that, I yield to the ranking member, the gentleman from New York, for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we are once again far afield from the work this committee should be doing. The Department of Homeland Security was born in the wake of the September 11th attacks and exists to protect our nation from new and emerging threats. That work is serious business. And in years past, under the leadership of chairmen of both parties, when we welcomed the Secretary of Homeland Security into this hearing room, we took our responsibilities seriously. To be sure, some of the questions we posed in those past hearings were tough. Debate is often heated when we discuss important topics like immigration and the security of the nation. But our work on both sides of the aisle was grounded in a good faith effort to advance the mission of the department and to keep our country safe. How times have changed. A few weeks ago, desperate for votes on the debt ceiling deal, Speaker McCarthy promised the extreme MAGA wing of his party that they could pursue the impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas. As Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene put it, if she was going to vote for the debt ceiling bill, she wanted some, quote, dessert. As she so eloquently put it, everyone loves dessert, and that's impeachment. Someone needs to be impeached. Like many of her colleagues, she seemed not to care who was impeached, so long as they could engage in the political exercise of impeaching somebody in the Biden administration. She singled out Secretary Mayorkas as, quote, the lowest hanging fruit. And unfortunately, as we have already heard from the chairman, today's hearing will not be about legitimate congressional oversight or finding out the facts. Instead, the chairman and his colleagues in the majority will use today's hearing as a predicate for a completely baseless attempt to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. They will do so at the behest of the most extreme MAGA Republicans. It will be one more exercise in political theater for the right-wing outrage machine before the August break. And sadly, the outrage will be entirely evidence-free. Don't just take my word for it. In October 2022, before the Republicans took the majority and before any investigation had started, Chairman Jordan said that Secretary Mayorkas deserves impeachment. More recently, he said, quote, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's right. Who needs high crimes and misdemeanors? Chairman Jordan thinks the DHS secretary should be impeached because he, quote, deserves it. To be clear, Republicans have not established any legitimate grounds to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. They have not uncovered evidence of wrongdoing or malfeasance of any kind. They have policy disagreements with the secretary, and so do we. But policy disagreements and personal grudges are not a basis for impeachment. Throughout this hearing, you will hear more of the same bogus claims that we've been hearing for the past 6 months. Some of it dangerous, some of it petty, none of it true. First, Republicans will say that as a result of a, quote, invasion of migrants at our southern border, we no longer have a country. Second, they will say that Secretary Mayorkas opened our borders deliberately and is willfully violating our immigration laws. Third, they will say that all migrants are suspect because they are smuggling drugs, especially fentanyl, across our southern border. And fourth, they will say without evidence that Secretary Mayorkas lied to Congress. Not one of these claims is true. Let's address each one in turn. The invasion narrative some members push in this hearing room is bigoted, fact-free, and dangerous. Next month, we will commemorate the 4th anniversary of the El Paso shooting. In 2019, a domestic terrorist walked into a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, and murdered 23 people and injured 22 others. He posted a hateful and racist manifesto online prior to the attack, espousing white nationalist theories like the Great Replacement theory and claiming that there was a, quote, Hispanic invasion. He told investigators that he was targeting Mexicans. We can draw a straight line from the hateful rhetoric we hear from some congressional Republicans to that horrific tragedy. Our words matter. I implore my colleagues to be careful about how we discuss these issues today. And I hope we can stick to the actual facts. Opened our borders? The reality is that Secretary Mayorkas is aggressively enforcing our immigration laws. The administration has issued a new asylum regulation that just yesterday a court determined was too restrictive. The administration has also opened additional legal pathways for migrants to come via refugee processing on a case-by-case parole determination. No matter what you think of these policies, they appear to be working. As of now, border numbers are at their lowest point since February 2021, with border apprehension numbers down 70% from where they were just 10 weeks ago. Further, the Biden administration has deported or expelled over 2.5 million people in the last 2 years. This is nearly as many people as President Obama deported in his entire 8 years in office. These are not the policies of an open border or an administration not executing our laws. They are the opposite. As we have discussed, drugs are, in fact, coming into this country. However, as every expert seems to agree, they are coming largely through ports of entry. And according to CBP's own data, they are being brought in overwhelmingly by U.S. citizens. And lastly, no, the Secretary did not lie to Congress. Nobody believes that Secretary Mayorkas knowingly and willfully misled Congress during last year's testimony. And any assertion to the Congress is flat out false. Thank you for being here today, Secretary Mayorkas. I hope the good men and women of the department will not be disheartened by what they hear today. I have confidence that they will not let these baseless attacks deter them from their commitment to the work that is so essential to the safety of our nation. And with that, I thank the chairman and I yield back.